Hello, friends, and welcome back to Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele, and today is part 3 of our conversation with Ben about one of the greatest games ever made, and that is The Last of Us Part 2. If you like this video or any of the other videos here on the channel, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. That's the only way that I know that you enjoy the content. Leave me a comment down in the comment section. Tell me, are you excited for the Last of Us series? What did you like about The Last of Us Part 2? What didn't you like about The Last of Us Part 2? Okay, guys, without any further ado, let's get to the video.
That might be the most important part of part 1.
Yeah,
So I'm like, there's all these people that I would say are bad. But part 2, I can't say any of these people are bad, especially when you have to play as Abby. And you have to see these people in their normal day-to-day relationships. There is maybe one bad group, and they're rattlers, which you only see in the last half, because the Scars have a personality too. Right? I'm going to talk a lot about this when we talk about Abby, but the magic of this game is that you go in with a very outsider perspective as Ellie. I have one goal, and anyone who's in my way deserves to die. And then you play as Abby, and you see these layers. You see notes from people who tried to get out of the WLF, people who didn't agree with them, people who were originally with Fedra, which we talked about is like the military reigning government that has everything. And you can't just say they're one-dimensional. It's magic.
yeah. Just everything from... So I'm reminded... So one of the genius things that they did with this game is that... I'm going to get into it a little bit later, but one of the genius things that they did with this game is you played as Abby, or not Abby, for Ellie for 3 days. And, you're taking care of Dina and everything else. And by the way, that's a whole twist in itself. When Dina says to Ellie, I'm pregnant.
I think I'm pregnant. What? Don't worry, it's not yours. What are we supposed to do now? Nothing. I just need to rest for a second. Are you fucking kidding? How long have you known? I was late a few weeks ago. A few weeks? We could have still turned back. I didn't know.
That aside.
Yeah.
But after the 3 days that you spend playing as Ellie, and by the time, how long would you say you've been playing? Like 10, 12 hours by this point? If you're playing with just Ellie?
Oh,
okay.
Easily. You're about 13 hours in as Ellie.
So the genius of this is, what do? We get to that cutscene in the theater. We get to that cutscene, all that quick stuff happens. Jesse gets shot. Abby's got a gun to Tommy's head. What do? They make you play as the person that killed Joel. And you're like, fuck this game. Because I don't want to play as Abby. I have no compassion for Abby. I don't like her. What are you doing? You're going to make me draw this out for the next 3 days? And the beauty about it is, we get to see Abby as a person, an individual, and a human. And the first thing that you see is that flashback. She's calling for her father, the surgeon that was going to do the surgery on Ellie. And so, what happens? They go and they rescue this seer. And we're introduced to, and this will go into our next point, is new people. So in this game, we have a ton of new people. We have Jesse, we have Dina, and we have another major, major person, and that's Owen. And we see Owen in this flashback helping her father and Abby. And so they're not part of anything at this point. And this is before everything happens. And now you're playing as Abby for 3 days in Seattle. And you're walking through her journey. And by the way, what you were talking about with, so there was a little dynamic there between Owen and the other woman who was pregnant. By the way, the one thing I'm going to say, I mean, we can go on and on about this, the parallels. The parallels. The scene in the aquarium where Ellie wants to find Abby, kills both Owen and her. She doesn't realize it. She says, oh shit, she's pregnant. Okay. Fast forward many hours in the game. Now we're back in the theater scene after you played, and she's about to slice Dina's throat. And Ellie's face up, bleeding from the mouth, and she says, she's pregnant. I don't care. And just when you think she's going to slice her throat, in comes one of the scars, who she hates. And says...
No. Abby... Or I guess, Ellie doesn't know the scars.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is you see Lev there, and all he says is Abby. And throws her over the side. And says, standing over Ellie, and says, don't ever let me see you again. Come on. The parallels are fucking amazing in this game. The characters. There's nothing... I mean, you have so many different things going on within itself. You have a love triangle between Owen, Abby, and Mel. You have the factions of the Scars and the Wolves fighting each other. Which, by the way, let's get to the cutscene. We were talking about survival earlier. Let's get to that cutscene. And this was in the trailer.
Which
and Abby is getting dragged through the mud. And what we were talking about, the new faction, and she's about, you see all these people just hanging up, hung from trees. And so they string her up. And you're like, oh shit, she's going to die. And part of you wants her to die because of what's ended up happening. And
I mean, this is day one. If at any point you want her to die, this is basically the most.
So they find one of the people that was Yara who's going to run and says, clip her wings. What do? They take a hammer to her arms. So now she's got a broken arm. Okay? And Lev is... So now it's... You see there was a distraction. Abby's now there choking to death. And then you see Lev come in and... Abby and Yara says to Lev, cut her down. She saved my life. So now you have that two different kinds of people who hate each other, but they're working together because one saved the other's life.
Sure.
And then it even goes further.
Yeah. I think the idea...
Go ahead. It's just...
Yeah, the idea of a life debt matters so much in this game. You owe me because I saved you. It happens so many times. And it's one of those things that very clearly Abby holds dear, despite the fact that she goes against her own principle when she kills Joel. Which might be why it's like such a big breaking point between her and Mel, who is Owen's current girlfriend. And even like some of that group weren't happy about how they killed Joel. They think it's unjust, right? Because Abby owed him a life debt. He saved her life, right? But it happens throughout the game. So many times you run into people, like Abby saves Yara and Lev ends up cutting her down, and like it takes them out, and she still thinks it's her responsibility to care for them, even though both Wolves and Scars are trying to kill those two kids. Right? She knows that Mara can't help herself because her arms are... Well, her one arm is completely fucked. Her other arm is fine. But it's just brutal. And it's powerful because Ellie doesn't have that same hold. She doesn't think the same way, and that comes to after that confrontation in the theater when she's let free and Ellie gets to go home with Dina. And she can't let go of what Abby did, especially now that she's killed Jesse. Which is brutal. And she also completely destroyed Tommy's arm, and now Tommy's relationship with Maria's on ice too. There is so much we don't know about the relationships in this game that gives them depth. Yeah. But I love it.
It's just...
I love it so much because you have to start learning about people and how they view each other.
No, the simple fact of after they go home,
for it.
The cutscene, they go home, they're on the farm. You see that Ellie comes in. Who's sitting there? Tommy.
And that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned in the coming days for the rest of the breakdown we did with Benjamin of The Last of Us Part 2 and what makes it one of the greatest games of all time. Guys, we're less than 1 week away from HBO Max dropping its biggest series ever and the biggest series here on the channel, and that is The Last of Us. Stay tuned. Is after the episode, it will be Kyle, Tyler, myself, and we'll have a special guest for the second week talking all about The Last of Us. And guys, if you like this episode or any of the other episodes here on the channel, hit that like and hit that subscribe button. It's the only way that I know that you're enjoying the content. And guys, please leave your thoughts down in the comment box. Did you like The Last of Us? Did you like The Last of Us 2? Are you excited for the series? Okay, guys, do the 3 things we need to do. Be safe, be careful, and have a great day. I'm David Steele, and you have been watching